Hello there and welcome to the second part of this video. The first part was about basic concepts and class diagram for the abstract factory design pattern. This is the second part of the video, and in this part we are going to take a look at an implementation of the abstract factory design pattern in Visual Studio 2015 using C#. So I have a solution in Visual Studio which I'm calling as Abstract Factory Class Library, which has just one class library project under it, and I just created this, and I'm going to just rename this class as car, which is the abstract class that we just discussed. And this is going to be abstract class, and it's going to have abstract method called drive. So abstract void drive. Our next step will be, so of course this has to be public, and let's implement the two concrete products that we discussed in our class diagram. So I'm going to add, the first class will be called Camry, and this is going to inherit from car, and obviously because it's inheriting from an abstract class, it has to implement the method, or it has to be declared abstract, or the method has to be abstract. So it's overriding drive, so I'm just going to write here console dot write line and just put a message there. So this is the behavior of, or at least this is the simulated behavior of Camry when you drive it. So you are driving a Toyota. Let's do the same thing with Accord. So add a class, call it Accord, and same way this is going to inherit from car, and because it is using an abstract class, it has to either implement the drive method or be declared abstract. So I'm going to display the message console.writeLine you are driving a Honda Accord. So we got our concrete objects, so those two, Camry and Accord, and then we got the abstract product. So one abstract product, car, and two concrete products. Now let's implement the factories. Same way, the abstract factory we called in our class diagram as factory, and so this is going to have public abstract, so return a car, and this will be called get car. This is the abstract factory method that returns a car. And now let's implement this in Toyota factory and Honda factory. And this is going to inherit from factory. And this is going to implement get car. This will return Camry. But because it's returning something which is a parent of Camry, this will work perfectly fine. Even if it's returning new Camry, it's going to get a car back. The same logic, let's add another concrete factory, and this time I'm going to call it Honda factory. Honda factory is going to inherit from factory, and in fact these classes do not have to be declared public. It's the abstract that has to be public, and that could be protected, but in this case I'm just declaring this as public, and I'm going to implement get car. Then this will return Accord. So we got our factories implemented, we got our products implemented. The last thing I need to implement is the client. So I'm going to keep that client in a different project, and I'm going to save this project. So then add the new one, and this time I'm going to use a console application. If I can find it real quick. Here it is. And then I'm just going to call it abstract factory console app. To this project, I'm just going to add a reference to the abstract factory class library. And let's start creating our abstract. Let's start creating our concrete products. So what it's going to do is it's going to say, I'm going to add a using statement first, although you could have added it later. And then I'm going to say my car or my car equals, we're going to use the factory. So let's first declare the factory here. So, and this time I'm going to go for Honda factory equals new Honda factory, and my car is going to be produced by Honda factory, and then I'm going to just drive my car. The second thing, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm just going to get a Toyota factory equals new Toyota factory, and this time my car will be reinitialized to whatever Toyota factory returns, and then I'm just going to put dot read key so it stops there. I'm going to change this console application to be the startup project, and let's run this. And it should run very quickly, and I should be able to see the output from the two cars that it's going to create. So you're driving a Honda Accord, and then you're driving a Toyota Camry. So this is what happened. This is basically my client program, which is calling Honda factory and Toyota factory, and whichever car is returned, keep in mind this class does not know anything about the concrete products, Accord and Camry, but it gets the right car and sees the right behavior by calling mycar.drive, and here's the output. But we are not done yet. One problem we have is that right now we have direct dependency on Honda factory and Toyota factory, and we don't want that. So what we are going to do is we are going to add a special class. So this is my implementation of a factory selector class. All it does is it has one method on it that reads get appropriate factory. It takes a preference as input. So if preference is equal to T, which is Toyota, then return Toyota factory, otherwise return Honda factory, or consider this an invalid preference. And then in my main program, I'm going to just select factory selector and then call ps dot get appropriate factory. First time I'm going to pass T, and actually let's pass H, and then this is going to give my preferred factory dot get car, and then next time I'm going to reinitialize the preferred factory, and this time I'm going to pass T and preferred factory dot get car, and let's run this and I should get the same result. Keep in mind right now my client is changed to just be dependent on factory and car. It doesn't know anything about Toyota factory, Honda factory, or any of the concrete products like Honda Accord or Toyota Camry. So let's run this and I should get the same results back. And there it is. Driving an Accord, driving a Camry. So how about this extension now? We going to have a new class of products that Honda factory and Toyota factory are going to produce, and they will basically be aircrafts, and they will be called with different names. So first I'm going to implement aircraft abstract class. That's my mistake, I need to name it aircraft, not abstract. And then introduce an abstract class. So this is going to be public abstract and this is going to have a method fly. To add a void here. So I have an abstract class here which has an abstract method called fly, and this is the aircraft. So let's implement two concrete products. First one is going to be TAA_1. This is an aircraft that Toyota tested, I believe in 2002 on a test run. So this will be an aircraft, and because it's inheriting from an abstract, I can implement the abstract method fly, and then I'll just write here console dot write line and you are flying a Toyota plane. The second implementation is going to be the Honda plane. So and I believe that aircraft was known as HA420, and this is going to be implementing aircraft, and let's implement the abstract method fly, and then it's going to say console dot write line, and you are flying a Honda plane. And we got our implementation done for the aircraft. So now what we need to do is change these two factories to produce the aeroplanes. So let's go to Toyota factory and add get plane method. But before we do that, we also got to add these abstract methods to the abstract factory. So public abstract aircraft get plane, and obviously the child classes so this is the factory, and I got the get plane. So let's implement get plane here, implement, and then this is going to return new TAA underscore 1, and so let's take a look at the factory to see what's going on here. Aircraft is less accessible than method this. So let's see, how did we implement aircraft? Oh, should have done public. And now if we go back to factory, this looks good. And Toyota factory, we got this. The Honda factory, the same thing. Got to implement the other method. And let's implement this. And this is going to be HA plane. So now if we go back to our client class, which is program, let's get these guys to return a plane. So I'm just going to say aircraft, my aircraft equals preferred factory dot get plane, and then let's define my aircraft dot fly. Same thing here. Once we get the Toyota factory get plane, then my aircraft dot fly. And let's run this. And we got Honda Accord, we got Honda plane, we got Toyota Camry, and we got Toyota plane. Now typically you are going to have a preference of one or the other. So how about we get the user to provide this information? Also, there's a lot of things that can be changed with this implementation. First of all, the selector class or the factory selector class, that can very easily be implemented as singleton. There is no need to have multiple instances of this class. Also, Honda factory, Toyota factory, these classes could very easily be singletons because there is no need, once again, to have multiple instances of these. So a lot of changes could be made here, but let's first change this so this accepts the preference from the user. So how about we do this? So dot read. Actually, first thing I'll do is tell the user what they can do here. Console dot write line. Press H for Honda, T for Toyota, and then add another line. So console.writeLine, just add a line for display, then console.read key, and this will be console key k equals console.read console key info, and then we're just going to the factory selector, just pass console key dot toString to upper, and then this will give me the preferred factory, and I do not need to pass any of this information because this is where I got my key, and then I'm passing it to the factory. The factory will give me the car and the aircraft based on the selected factory or the preference. Let's run this. H for Honda or T for Toyota. So I'm going to press H and I get an error because I selected an invalid preference. See, the preference here is coming back as console key info. My bad. What I got to do here is go back to the program and change this to keychar.toString. So H for Honda, and I'm driving Honda Accord. If I press enter, I'm back to the program. This time I'm going to select Toyota, and I'm driving a Toyota Camry, or a Toyota aeroplane is what I'm flying. So that's the idea here. After the read key, actually I need to move this line down. Then this will be better formatted for me. So this is my Toyota Camry preference. This will end the program because this is what console.read key is. Again, if I show preference for Honda, I get Honda. So that's the idea. And if you look at this implementation once again, the client program has dependency on factory selector, and car and aircraft. Car and aircraft are abstract products. Factory is abstract factory, and there's also a factory selector. But there's no direct dependency or association between the client class and any of the concrete objects like concrete factory, Toyota factory or Honda factory, and concrete products like the two types of aircrafts and the two types of cars. Thank you.